All right, today's Wednesday. I want to say hello to everybody out there. I've got something I wanted to read to you. I made a copy of a comment that appeared the other day on my video. And when I get done with it, I'm going to go over some of the different points. And I'm going to ask you to make comments of what you thought of it. First of all, it's a person that made comments on here and they were gracious enough not to actually use names, but make sure we knew what she was talking about. And this person is in their 70s. And in fact, she'll tell you on here how old she is, because I'm going to read this verbatim, what's on here, as best I can. Okay, it goes, if I think I am ingraciously defamed in any manner, and my livelihood, reputation, and relationships are on the line, the gloves are going to come off. Sounds familiar? You've got two kinds of truth fighters. Those fighting for justice and those fighting for what I said is truth. I am beneath you, yet you should know better than to rebuke me, because I am deserving. Wow. That's different. No one, regardless of their so-called social status, has a right to insert defamation, segregation, manipulations, and false allegations into someone else's lives. Goes on to say, being poor is no excuse. All the more reason to behave yourself unless you have the money to pay for the litigation out of it. Looking at their incomes, GoFunds for me, or whatever you want to call it, hardly qualifies them as indigent. They have more income, gifts, and cash grifting than I do. Now, I'm reading the exact words of this comment that was in there. When I say I or me or something, it's the person talking about themselves. It's not me talking about me. I do as someone that worked all of my life. There's no way all that money has been spent on that property. If it has, someone would produce the receipts or someone got ripped off. Someone is skimming somewhere with a question mark. Paying Bruce, question mark. He stated to the courts he was pro bono with pro hac vici status, fishy status, yet failed to appear how many times, question mark. He states he was dismissed and then, bunch of little dots, periods. As far as the child is concerned, what I have seen in videos and accounts, I too am concerned for her well-being, but mostly from what I have witnessed. Now, she apparently has witnessed on my own and not merely words. This person says she has witnessed this. That child is bright and starving for attention / affection. So sad to see it, misdirected and taught misbehaviors she is being taught, which, in my opinion, are low life, real love and attention, comma, not fabricated, and for mandated reporter to state children are resident should be okay, question mark, question mark, question mark. Might be a misquote, but same thing he said. Shame on you, attorney. What's your name? Question mark. Even teachers, daycare workers, physicians, any profession are mandated reporters. Welfare / Medicaid fraud is among the highest. Oh, I know what it is. Maybe he gets it from question mark. As you know, she says she has been her own best defense, question mark. Then it says, y'all, capital Y, A, apostrophe, LL, can believe all the fabricated stuff you want to believe. It's your right, as it is my right to speak my piece in a public forum. I'm going to leave this here. I'm going on 72. My daddy taught us 3 girls. No one gave me anything in this life. I worked for every penny I ever made. And you're going to do it too. And we did. I'll be honest. We all did except for one. The middle child, who always deemed herself special, because she was born premature. I shouldn't even be here. Explanation marks. Yet, she was the one they sacrificed to keep alive. She, and then this is in all caps, the only one who ever asked my parents for money. I had too much pride to ask. So did my oldest sister. We worked, scrimped, saved, multiple dots, periods. We never complained, even though we had as much competency, even though she had as much competency as we did. I'm not asking anyone to change or trying to sway their opinions. Just merely stating my opinion respectfully. I see faults on both sides, but my opinion is the weight that matters in my instance. Scales tip too far in the wrong direction. Okay. Now, reading this just like it is, and then judging what I see in it and how it came out. Now, one of the reasons I'm not going to give the name is, quite frankly, it wouldn't do any good to give a name out. What I see here, I have seen similar things on a weekly basis from those that came over here to my channel. And they all have an opinion, they say. But the verbiage, I can almost tell you where they came from or what video they were watching to get the things they repeated. Now, we all know that this is about John and Michelle. We also know this is about Lisa on 2 Lees in a pod. We also know they're talking about Bruce. We also know they're talking about Mr. Hales. So anybody, and now I'm only talking about the people that have followed the scenario in Otter Creek, Florida, right? That's what I'm talking about and what's going on in here. Now, part of this, the first sentence, I want to go over it, and then I'm going to go over another one. If I think I am egregiously defamed in any manner, and my livelihood, reputation, and relationships are on the line, the gloves are going to come off. Now, this, in effect, is a threat against me using free speech to give my opinion if it opposes hers and would cause her problems with relationships, livelihood, or if she thinks she's being defamed, because I will think differently. Now, what I want to do is read another one here. It says, y'all can believe all the fabricated stuff you want to believe. It's your right. Okay? So, okay, here's, she threatened me in the first sentence that if anything that I say would defame her in any way, or her livelihood, or her relationships, the gloves are coming off. Okay, well. And then she goes on to say, as it is my right to speak my piece in a public forum. Wow. So, right here, she's saying it is her right to speak her piece in a public forum. And yet, she is going to go after me if I do speak my piece and it may have a problem with her reputation. So which one does she mean? That I have a right to my opinion, or that if I express it, she's going to do something about it? Those fighting for justice and those fighting for what I said is truth. I'm beneath you, that you should be, or you should know better than to rebuke me. Now, I haven't said a word about her up until right this minute. I mean, we're into the this first paragraph yet. She's told me she don't want me to talk if it would cause a problem to defame her. And then she comes down here and is separating her and I in a different social status. And she's saying on here because she's a lesser status, she is deserving. And I don't declare anybody of any status. And in fact, you can see when I read through here, she felt that the status of John and Michelle was beneath all of us, that she was the very bottom of the barrel because of the way they were raising this child. There was judgment made, and she says that she knows this. And I'm wondering why. So let's go down through here. She also says, no one, regardless of their so-called social status, has the right to insert themselves into someone else's lives for the purpose of intimidation, defamation, segregation, manipulations, false allegations into someone else's life. So, in effect, the way I read this, nobody should be bothering somebody else, and they should leave people alone. Well, I understand that might be right. So, is she accusing John and Michelle of doing these things to Mr. Hales? Because when I look at the whole thing, it almost looks like she is calling them out, saying that she's doing this to him. Because here's the next sentence. Being poor is no excuse. All the more reasons to behave. In other words, if you're poor, shut up. And unless you have money, the money, to pay for the litigation out of it. Okay, so here we're saying that if you're poor, you do not have the right to speak your piece, because speaking the piece, you could end up in court, even though you have free speech by the First Amendment. But that don't count if you don't have money in your pocket. That's exactly what this says. There is no other interpretation of this. But when I read through it the first time, I'd be willing to bet that you're saying, hey, she really hit the nail on the head. She's correct in all this. But you have to take it apart and look at it to find out what they're talking about. Now, we're going to go on, okay? Looking at their incomes, and I'm assuming they're talking about John and Michelle. GoFundMe, or whatever you want to call it, hardly qualifies them as indigent. Now, I had used the words indigent as to financial status about John and Michelle. And anybody that thinks they have a lot of money would be wrong, very wrong. And now she goes on to explain it. They have more income, gifts, and cash grifting than I do. Wow. In other words, she is saying not only do they grift, but that she does too by this sentence. And I don't think she meant to say that. Because this person, I got an idea, really doesn't grift from anybody. But she does say that. They have more income, gifts, and cash grifting than I do. Okay. As someone that worked all my life, okay, that's the end of the sentence. There is no way, okay, she's going to explain that this money didn't go where it was supposed to. There is no way all that money has been spent on that property. Then she goes on, because she's got to have a back door. If it has, someone would produce the receipts or someone got ripped off. So she's given this excuse. It's a back door that if she's wrong in putting this out, then if the person didn't show receipts, then someone got ripped off because they didn't show the receipts. Now, I'm going to tell you the receipts we're showing, first time around, what it cost, how many panels, all that for the fence, all the concrete that went in there. And it's very, very easily, you can take a pencil to it real quick. Okay, all that's up front. It's told to you before it was started. So somewhere something's wrong here. Oh, I understand now. If I remember right, even though this information was given out as to what it took to do it, there was people out there who said that was a lie, that it was cheaper panels. There was all kinds of lies. No concrete in the hole, all those things. And yet the concrete bags were shown laying out on top. It showed them putting the concrete in the ground. It showed the concrete actually in the ground and when it had hardened before they covered it up. So all those things were proven for the fence, okay? And yet here, she's saying that didn't happen. But it did. So where did that verbiage come from? Because somebody put that out online, there were no receipts, and that it didn't happen. That money was not spent on that property. Now, the biggest donor, okay, he likes to refer to himself as only me, or, let's put it only me, okay? Because that's the way when he was doing the donations that he was identifying himself. And by the way, he has been on other channels gifting money. Now, it wasn't just two leaves in a pod, okay? One of the opposing channels that has went after 2 leaves in a pod about this money, this guy, this provider, benefactor, went on that channel and said that he had checked it out and his people that checked it out for him give it a clean bill of health, that it was spent where it was supposed to be. What he put in there was, and I am satisfied. This other channel, the creator of that channel, went on there and called this guy, only me, and that's how he identifies himself on there, that he was a coward. And he did that probably a dozen times on there within about 20 minutes. And every once in a while, in between, when he got tired of ranting about how this guy was a coward because he stuck up for him, and he was told over and over by this other channel that he was being scammed. He got taken, that it wasn't so. The guy he was talking to is a big businessman. He chose to donate because he felt it in his heart to give some money away. Whatever reasons were there that he gave it away, it was his thing, not anybody else's, nobody else's business, but his. He was upset with him in the beginning because he wanted to see receipts. He was given a choice, and for whatever reason, he couldn't get in on the emails. Kept saying that it didn't work. And I don't know what was going on his end, why it wasn't working, but I can tell you the emails, I seen the email in the status on the channel over and over and over, and there was no problem with anybody reaching 2 leaves in a pod, except this donor, supposedly. But he did give him a clean bill of health. And this other guy that didn't want him to give in the first place and tried to talk him into coming to his channel and called him a coward, a coward, a coward, a coward, a coward, a coward, over and over and over. And in between, tried to talk him into coming to their channel, that they would protect him. Okay. So did this person, this woman that had all these things to say out there, did she get all that from those other channels when the proof was actually there? The people who were involved were right there. The proof is in front of you. You can count the panels. Then later on, Christmas in the creek. It was the Harley Jolly Christmas in the creek, as it was called. You got to see the presents. You got to see her interact with other children and adults. The decorations that were there, the lighting. It was quite a party for a little girl that you think the whole world was crashing in on. And she was a happy person. She showed her sharing abilities, her personalities. I don't think anybody could dispute it. She showed her love of her parents and different people that had been participating on that property. She recognized people that came on there to help put a fence up. The fence is still standing that everybody said would fall down the first time there was a hurricane come around. Oh, my. Oh. Then they're talking about for Bruce. And there's certain things that when you're pro bono that you have to ask help on if you can get it from volunteers. And that is if you decide to question somebody ahead of time. And a clerk of the court will go over it, or videos taken of that thing. It's to be used when you're doing your investigations. And that costs money. It goes through the courts. The travel expenses involved. He lives in another state up in the Northeast. This has to be down in Florida. And I'm sure he was thinking a lot of it could be done per videos or through the computers. But that wasn't to happen. And a judge was going to bring him in and talk to him about being sanctioned. Now, the first time he went down there and appeared before the judge to do this questioning. By the second time, his family had been stalked, had been put out for the public. His wife, where she worked, somebody called her employer. Her hours of operation was put out there. The fact that there was a 14-year-old daughter at home, juvenile, and one of the people stood up and said, "I'll bite the bullet. I'll ask her, be the one to ask her out." An adult going to ask a 14-year-old child out. Wow. That makes you feel good. Well, Bruce, and I don't blame him a bit, said, "I'm not going to appear before you, Judge." And that's that. And the judge, during the court, and he mentioned that he was bringing him down there for sanctions, and that this lawyer wasn't appearing, and so he gave that lawyer so many days to justify his actions. And in fact, Bruce did do that. As it is, it opened up the entire case when that judge open-ended it. Says, "Here, do it, tell me why." And Bruce did. Told him about the threats and how the case had been going up to point. Went over all the points there. There are actually criminal acts in there. When you threaten officers of the court in any way, including lawyers, that is against the law. This is a federal case. You can be held in doing criminal acts if you go in there and put a family through this kind of stuff. Now, it's all in the hands of the judge. What he does with it, I don't know. But you see, that hasn't been settled yet in the court. Although people out here are talking about it, they make their own judgments on it, and they're not even qualified to do it. But they try. Okay. Now, she states in here about this child starving for attention. She gets attention 24/7. Believe me. She loves her parents and the people that come around. She likes a guy named Thomas Collins. She recognizes him. She knows who he is. She loves Super Dave. She's never met Super Dave, but she knows him because of the videos that Super Dave has put out. And you'll hear her talk about him. They're friends. Video friends, okay? This woman is saying, shame on you, attorney. What's your name? Even teachers and day workers, physicians, they're mandated reporters. Welfare, Medicaid fraud is among the highest. Oh, boy. Is she accusing them of defrauding Medicaid or Medicare? Did you know the lawyer for Mr. Hales, Mr. Shockett, was refused a license for lying about losing his license as a dentist for over $100,000 of Medicaid fraud, or Medicare and Medicaid fraud. It's public knowledge, and I showed on this channel, I showed that what happened, the charges he faced, and why he couldn't get a legal license in his state. Now, I did go to Florida and get a license. I don't know how. I've never seen what happened with his license. I only know what happened in his home state. When I got back here, it says, y'all can believe that all the fabricated stuff you want to believe. She said, it's all right if you want to believe it. It's your right. And yet in that first sentence, she threatened me for having an opinion, right? She says, it is my right to speak my piece. And she went on to give us a personal insight into her life, and I don't know why. She's trying to make out as if the world was unfair to her, but she made it okay. But the world was unfair because her sister was born premature and was treated as a special baby. And I can tell you for sure that if she was premature and had to spend more time in the hospital, those parents were overwhelmed and worried about the life of that child. Child that need the most attention are going to get the most attention by a parent because it is your natural instinct to protect the weakest child the most. It's the way the Lord made us. They made us that way because they want you to be able to raise all the children. The burden you carry is a burden that the Lord figures you can carry. If you don't have faith in the Lord, you won't have faith in yourself. And she justifies feeling bad about her sister, thinking that she was special. And she, in bold letters, here is the crux of this whole thing. She was the only one who asked my parents for money. When was this a problem for a child to ask a parent for something? The parent, if they were a provider and they wished to give her something and there was a need for that gift, why would you be so upset with it? Well, you told us why you're upset. I had too much pride. Wow. Pride. That can be your undoing. It happens. Pride is not a good thing to have. And I don't know who told you that that was a good thing. Having pride in yourself is okay, but you don't have to use that as a stick. It's not okay to use it as a stick. And so did your older sister, so it was you and your sister against the middle sister. What would her side of the story be? How does she feel that the two of you did not care for her, that you felt this way about her? I hope, pray, that she doesn't know that. When a sibling finds out other siblings in their family don't care for him or don't like him, It is the undoing of that poor child that is being attacked. The ones that are doing the attacking, quite frankly, are doing everything they can to tear that poor child apart, their own siblings. I can only imagine, and I believe it can happen, where one or two siblings would go after another because of some contrived fault they found within that person, or who knows. But she very well explained what was wrong. I had too much pride to ask. And so did my oldest sister. We worked, scrimped, saved, and then multiple periods after that. We never complained, and yet the sentence above it was a complaint. She didn't even realize. She just got through giving a reason, and then she go down there and said, I never complained. Even though she has much competency as we did. So now here, she's saying that child that she deems as special treatment from the parents, apparently, didn't need any of that because she was equal to them in what she could do. I'm not asking anyone to change or trying to sway their opinions, just merely stating my opinion respectfully. I see faults on both sides, but my opinion is the weight that matters in my instance. Scale tip too far in the wrong direction. So I understand we both feel the scale is tipped too far in the wrong direction, but your direction and my direction are probably differently. Now, for one thing, this person that put this in my comment, I do pray for you, and I understand how bad you feel, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. What I am hoping is that you can resolve this, and if all three of you are alive, that you get together and discuss these differences so that neither one of you or any of you will ever pass away without having resolved it. If it can happen, it can happen. It'll be reserved. It'll be absolved when the Lord gets a hold of it, when we pass from this life. It's just that it's a little hard to swallow while you're still alive. I have a hard time believing that my siblings wish me harm, although if they ever did say it, as you said it in here, it would make me feel bad. Because I don't necessarily wish that way about mine, but they're free to feel any way they want about me because that is their right. And if they don't want me in their life, that is their right. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. But the biggest thing is that it's them that would be hurting in the end. I'll resolve mine with a prayer to the Lord, asking His forgiveness and asking Him to lift that burden from my shoulder of how the shortcomings that I may have, or my sin of even thinking such thoughts. So, to this person that wrote this in my comment, I wish you the best, and I hope the Lord opens your heart. Now, the people you talked about in here, the lawyer, the other channels, and obviously, I think they have a right to answer to this if they wish, and bring up the different sentences and try to explain it in their own words. Because you see, like me, they have an opinion. And they won't, I'm pretty sure they would never dox you. And I'm not going to. Like I say, I did look you up. And I feel bad for you. If you are the person I think you are, then there's no way that I want to ruin your reputation in your town. I'm just not going to do it. And I don't know why you would say things like this when, I'm in a town that's only 1,000 people. And so a reputation you get into a small town, if it is repeated enough times, can destroy what you have. Now, as it is, I'm old enough that I don't have that many more years anyway. But I would like to live them out in peace if I can. And as far as having the money or not having the money to fight for your rights, shouldn't take away from the fact that you have those rights by Constitution. It's your First Amendment. And why you would threaten me if my opinion was different than yours and it would cause you harm just because you weren't afraid at all of giving your opinion to me. Didn't bother you in the least. And yet you would curtail my amendment, my First Amendment rights of freedom of speech by threatening me with the very first sentence in your comment. I hope you didn't mean what you said on here. I really do. You're the one that has to live with it. Now, if you've watched, I get attacked on a regular basis. Those people that are attacking me, very few of them have done anything for their country. Very few. I earned my right for my First Amendment. I guarantee you I did. My life spotless? Not by a long shot. I don't claim it to be. I'm a human being. And I have no qualms about being in the status that I am right now. As retired, I have a love of life, my wife, the Lord. And in case you didn't realize it, I don't wish any ill being towards you. But I guarantee you, I am going to give my opinion regardless of what you think or what you want. With that, I'm going to call it a day. And for all my watchers out there, ta-ta.